This is another session, Coaching Smart. Now we are dealing with company account. Now in company account, the areas that we will cover is one, introduction, we introduce what's all about company account, then shares, then finally the preparation of company account. Introduction. What is company? Company is an artificial person created by law, having separate entity with limited liability, perpetual succession, and common seal. That is according to Professor Anne. The word company comes from a Latin word, com, meaning together, anise, meaning bread. The coming together of people with an agenda to make profit is give rise to a company. Features. Number one is artificial person. So a company is artificial person, which is now created by law. Two, separate entity. There is a distinction between a company and ownership. Three, liabilities. The liabilities of every company are limited, meaning in time of winding up, the losses of a company, the debts of a company are paid by the company and not the owners. Two, perpetual succession. Perpetual means continuous, succession means success. So the company must be continuous and successful. And finally, common seal. Common seal means it is the signature for a company. Now, procedures in the formation of a company. So a company can be formed by number one, we need the promoters. Who are the promoters? These are people who engineer the idea of coming up with a company. They are also called pioneers or founders. Duties of a promoter: one, engineer the idea; two, they register the idea, planning of the idea, mobilizing the resources, and make decisions. So there are different duties which the promoters can play, but I've given but a few. Now the features of the procedures of the registration of a company. Number two is actually registration. Now in registration, the incorporation of a company requires the filling and submission of the fundamental documents, which there are two very important documents. One of them is called Memorandum of Association, two, Article of Association. Memorandum of Association. What is more? Memorandum of Association is a document which shows a relationship between the company and the owners. Now the clauses in this article: one, the name clause, you need to indicate clearly the name of the company. Two, objective clause, what are the objectives of a company? Clearly state the vision, the mission, the strategic plan, the objectives of a company, etc. 3, 4, capital clause, give clearly the maximum capital which the company must raise for it to be effective and efficient. Then 4, office of registration clause. Now in office of registration clause, we have only two things: one, the city; two, the country. Association clause. This clause shows the relationship between the company and the owners. Article of Association. The document shows how the company ran its operation. It established a relationship between the company and the outsiders. Now, what is in this document? One, methods of raising capital. Two, methods of dividend payment. Three, methods of appointment of directors. You must know that directors are appointed. But again, we have grown from appointment to interviews, from interviews to vetting. 3. Duties and responsibilities and powers of a director must be clearly indicated. Bona fide certificates certified by either advocate, attorney general, or a CPA profession. Shares. What do you mean by share? Share is just a unit of capital. Types of shares, we have ordinary shares and preference shares. Ordinary shares, they are shares which are owned by the owners of the company. Now, what are the features of ordinary shares? Number one, they include the following. One, owned by the owners of the company. Two, they are not transferable. Three, they are not convertible. You can convert ordinary share into preference shares. Four, they have no fixed dividend. So the dividend paid to ordinary shares is not fixed. They cannot invite the public. They cannot advertise their shares. The shareholders have voting right. They are paid last. In other words, when it comes to dividends, they are paid last. When it comes to the winding up of company, they are paid last. It's only one type. Next is preference shares. They are type of shares which the shareholders are given first priority when it comes to the payment of dividends and the capital when the company is winding up. Features: 1, they are owned by the outsiders. 2, they are transferable. You can transfer preference shares from one company to another. They are convertible. You can convert your preference shares into ordinary shares. They have fixed dividends. They invite the public. You can advertise your preference shares to the public. They are paid first. When it comes to dividends, they are paid first. When it comes to winding up of company, they are paid first. They have different types of preference shares. Now, the types of preference shares. 1, they include the following: cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative preference shares, redeemable preference shares, irredeemable preference shares, participative preference shares, non-participative preference shares, convertible preference shares, and finally, the non-convertible preference shares. So when you subscribe to preference shares, you must choose which type of share are you interested in. Now, the following are the types of share capital. Types of share capital. 1, we have. Now, there are capital which are raised by issuing shares to the public. They include the following: 1, authorized share capital. 2, issued share capital. 3, subscribed share capital. 4, call capital. These are the types of preference shares.